Hello on the Rockers. On this week's episode, drag superstar, social media maven, and comedian Bianca Del Rio, a.k.a. Roy Haylock, or is it Roy Haylock as Bianca Del Rio, is here to chat with me, your favorite host with the sassy most. Raise a glass and let the drinks begin.
Thank you for being
Boulevard.
Life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelt. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Listen to that applause. Buttons and bows and pantyhose on the Rocks podcast, a place where we're too glam to give a damn. We are talking to a glamazon today, and we all know I have glamour issues. I heard that if you have a blemish and if you want it gone overnight, to put toothpaste on it. So I tried that. I forgot that I had scheduled a Zoom appearance at 8 a.m. I am not an early riser at all, and I only set my alarm like 15 minutes before, so I was like, oh my God, got onto the Zoom. As I'm logging in and it shows you, I realized I had toothpaste, all whatever. And so, but we're going on, but it's my appearance, so I'm smearing it. And then I got it in my eye, so my eyes started watering. So I started my interview with my eyes watering and like white crap all over my face. Real sexy. Like us on Twitter and Instagram at On The Rocks On Air, and on Facebook On The Rocks Radio Show. Send me an email. Book me for a wedding, funeral, quinceañera, bris. I don't care. I will be there. Email me at info@ontherocksradioshow.com. The show is presented by Straw Hat Media. You can watch and or listen to our now almost 300 episodes at ontherocksradioshow.com. You can watch us on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV on the Outlet.tv app, Facebook Watch, streaming with Pry on SVTV, and on Channel 31 on the East Coast. The show is brought to you by Fandaddies.com, bringing you the sassiest and classiest clacking fans and hats for prides, EDM parties, sassy selfies, and even sci-fi nerds. Head to Fandaddies.com, support your small businesses. Turn on your FM. You can now catch my deep, sultry voice on Channel Q FM twice a day in over 38 states with my sassy news bites. So check your local FM listings for Channel Q. All right, let's get the show on the road. Let me introduce to you Bianca Del Rio, otherwise known as Roy Haylock, is a dimple-cheeked, larger-than-life drag queen, an outrageous comic who isn't afraid to shock and offend. When it comes to insult comics, she's in a class by herself. Fierce, funny, and fabulous, she has sandblasted her name into the annals of pop culture on RuPaul's Drag Race, and thanks to her snarky frankness, impeccable timing, and politically incorrect humor, she became the show's breakout star, winning its 6th season. I can't believe it's been 9 years, by the way. Dubbed the Joan Rivers of the drag world by the New York Times, there isn't anything she is afraid to say. As Roy, he is appearing in Los Angeles in the hit musical Everybody's Talking About Jamie, after having appeared in the film version, of course, and in the stage version on the West End in England. Let's take a look. welcome Roy Haylock as Bianca Del Rio, or is it Bianca Del Rio as Roy Haylock?
I think it depends on the day. It depends on the day. So, I'm not opposed to being called either one of them as long as they get the right name on a check. That's how I look at it.
And you're in full face. I interviewed you for MetroSource, and you were in your hotel, and it was very intimate, and we had such a great conversation. So I'm so privileged to be able to talk to you again. Now, do you feel sometimes Bianca Del Rio has become such a big persona that Roy, the person, kind of gets lost in that? I mean, Bianca's a glamazon.
Well, no. Well, the good thing is that, Bianca has opened doors and has also paid for a lot of Roy's good life. So I really have no complaints with it. So if this is the packaging in order for me to make a living, I am beyond grateful. And not to mention the past 2 years, the fact that I've been able to work during this insane time in our world has been really rewarding. And doing drag and also being a drag performer and being a comedian and getting to do theater, it's just great that you can give joy to other people. You know what I mean? It's like they can experience some fun in their lives. And if I can give them some form of escapism, I'm beyond grateful.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard you've been spreading around.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I've been doing theater. So think about that for a minute.
But your hustle is truly remarkable. Like you said, during COVID, a lot of us were just home eating Postmates. And you kept things going. You kept your fans going. You kept your peers in the theater business going, but also in the drag. But I want to talk about what kind of kid were you? Were you talking all the time? Were you the shy kid? What was going on?
Well, I definitely wasn't shy. I was, as I've learned, I was called different, which was interesting. So it wasn't so much being called gay or being a performer. I was different. I was kind of artistic, but kind of, danced to my own beat, I was eccentric. I was a little sassy. And, basically everything that I was ridiculed and told was wrong with me as a child is what has given me an amazing life as an adult. It's what I'm celebrated for now. So I always say, be nice to the little kids that are out there doing their thing, because you never know what they're going to turn into. Case in point.
Well, and we're going to talk about, everybody's talking about Jamie, because it really is a beautiful message to the youth out there. But also, I was there for opening night at the Amundsen, and what I loved is that there were old straight couples that totally got it and were so into it. The show really does talk to everybody, but specifically that youth that might be wondering, why do I like certain things? Why am I a little flashy? And how students react to that. It's such a beautiful message. Now, you getting into the entertainment business, you kind of got into it by way of costuming, yes?
Well, yeah, I started out with costumes, wigs, and makeup, so I kind of had the makings to be a drag queen. So I didn't plan on it, unlike Jamie in the show, who basically says, I want to be a drag queen. I didn't have that thought process. It was kind of like I was in theater, I had the makings to do it, and then I started with a show called Pageant in 1996, and that's where my drag career kind of started to snowball. And I've always been a yes person. I say yes to everything. Obviously, I'm doing this interview, but I kept going. So it was that kind of a thing. That's been my motto, is just go out, try it. And if anything, you can walk away with a great story later by going, I shouldn't have done that. Or, that was a nightmare. But in the end, I think it's just to go out and do it. So that's what kind of started the career. It wasn't intentional. And now it's 26 years later, I'm here talking to you going, why did I choose this? That's my life.
Now, how did you build Bianca? Because your performance in Pageant was not Bianca. It was a role that you played.
It was a role that I played, but it was the people that performed at the local bar in New Orleans, where I'm from, saw me and said, would you want to come do a guest spot? So I did a guest spot, and at that time, it was all about lip syncing and performing. And I remember my first number I did was Shirley Bassey's Big Spender, which is 2 minutes and 13 seconds, I believe. It was the shortest song I could possibly do because I hated lip syncing. But then through that, one night, the host wasn't available. And basically, they needed somebody to kill time during costume changes. Which became my specialty. So during that time, I realized I preferred talking to an audience and dealing with drunk people on a Wednesday night at 1 a.m. Then I enjoyed lip syncing. So I then became the host of the show. And that's where the Bianca came in. I was also doing bingo in the afternoon for people that were, either alcoholics or really desperate to play bingo. And through that is where, the Bianca sarcasm and nastiness came in. Because can you imagine, being an alcoholic and wanting to drink in the afternoon?
Yes.
And there's nothing worse than having a drag queen on a microphone calling out bingo numbers. So it was really part of the setting. And that's what kind of established me as a sassy host. I was dealing with an audience that doesn't want to be there.
Now, I have to say, your humor is so, it's obviously funny. Everybody loves you as a comedian, but it's very smart humor. And while it's sassy, it's very pointed, but it assumes that you have a brain, which I love that kind of smart humor. Even like your tweets and your messages to, some of the other drag queens that we live for.
Oh, well, I live to play with the drag queens online. I mean, I like to, the kids call me a person who trolls. That's what they say. And I enjoy it because you can obviously have a good time with people that you know. So I love to troll the queens that I've friends with that can actually take a joke, because out of context now with social media, it's very challenging when you've got a 13-year-old you've never met telling you how you're supposed to live your life. Oh God, don't get me started. So I just try to pick with the girls that actually have a good time. And now that we're on season 52,000 of Drag Race, there's lots to choose from.
Well, I saw your note to Coco Peru, who's opening up her own show, and it's like, I hate you. Love Bianca.
Well, contrary to belief, Coco and I are very good friends, and we had a moment recently on Facebook because she likes to chime in on my Facebook post, and my Facebook is linked to my Instagram. So basically everything just goes out, and I don't always get to see the comments on Facebook, obviously. And Coco always chimes in with something completely rotted and hateful. And recently,
there we go.
Someone had chimed in and basically was defending me, saying, how dare you say that about Bianca? You're just a horrible person. And I'm laughing, going, this person obviously doesn't know me.
No clue.
I live and love and worship Coco Peru. So we have that friendship where we just say something nasty and send it, and that's what we do. We go back and forth. We never compliment each other, but we say the nastiest things. And I was lucky enough when I was doing my tour in America, she did my intro for my show Unsanitized.
Yes.
And she's now opening tonight with her show that I did the intro for her show as well. And we do that mainly because we talk crap about each other. So we need to have the buffer of someone introducing us that they know we're friends.
Now, that's kind of smart humor. How did you cultivate that as a kid? Were you watching like campy movies, or you just was humor a part of your household? How did you kind of get this pointed humor?
I think it was observational. It's one of those things that you just look at something, and I always say that there's truth in comedy. Comedy is truth. It's something that we all are aware of that someone's afraid to say. But I think for me, it was what I enjoy is being in the moment. And that's where I didn't plan on being a comedian, so to speak. It was just the start of trying to kill time. That was the basis of all of it. How do I kill time? How do I get from point A to point B? And instead of looking at an audience and thinking, I've got to entertain them, I would then go to the audience and say, what do I have in front of me? And utilize the drunk girl, utilize the man that doesn't want to be there, utilize the straight couple. And I think that's where the campiness and the nastiness and the Don Rickles, Joan Rivers aspect of life is dealing with what's in front of you, and that's where it kind of snowballed.
I got this question from a fellow drag race queen who will go unnamed, but wanted me to ask the question. Many queens on Drag Race are drag race queens till the day they die. You've made a whole brand on your own. Was there a conscious effort to separate Bianca from Drag Race and establish your own empire?
Well, the thing is, Drag Race has been an amazing platform for me. Let's be real. Without that, I've been introduced to the world. So there is no animosity with any of that. Now, to believe that in my life that I'm a huge drag fan, no. I don't keep up with everything. And it's obviously, we're at a point now where drag is everywhere, which is amazing on many levels. But I don't keep up with every season of it, and I don't watch every season. I don't know every queen from every season. There are some drag queens that are super fans of the show, like Alaska and Bob the Drag Queen, that know everything about every episode. I am not that person. But I am aware that, without it, I wouldn't be given these amazing opportunities. So the goal here was to have this opportunity and then run with it. And that's basically what I've been doing. So because now it's been 9 years, I think, since we filmed.
Oh my God.
Season, which is kind of wild to think about. Yeah.
That really is. Now, do you consider yourself a drag queen, or are you a performer playing a character?
I'm whatever you want me to be. Look, if you told me to come and dress up like a monkey, I'd do it. I am whatever anybody wants me to be. I'm not concerned with labeling or trying to define myself as one thing or the other. I will do anything. As I said, I'm doing this interview.
Somebody asked me to ask you again, because everybody knew I was talking to you. Well,
wait a minute.
Because everyone's like, ask this. Is it lonely being Bianca Del Rio?
No, but you know what? When you work as much as I do, which I'm grateful for, is that you look forward to those times when you're alone. I don't have a problem with being alone. So lonely is not the word. I mean, there's moments when I go and escape to my house and deal with reality, but there's a lot of plotting and planning that goes on behind all of this. I like to keep a schedule. I like to keep moving. I like to keep working, but there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that you have to get accomplished. So lonely, no. Busy, yes, and I like busy.
Well, and we talked about your kind of ethic on the road. It's like you're like, let's do a show the next day, let's do a show the next day, let's get them done. So you're literally on the bus after the show, and then you go to the next performance. That must be a little dizziness to like, where the hell are we? What crowd is this? Who am I?
That's where my assistant comes in hand. I often have to ask right before I go on stage. I go, "Where are we? Are we in Denver? Are we in San Diego?" And he always tells me the right city. But now I sit back in my brain and go, "What if, just for a laugh, he says the wrong city just to get me going?" But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. But you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. How lucky to get to do it. And for me, when I'm out working, let's work. Let's get it done. So I try to do as many shows in a row as possible and hit as many places as I do.
Let's talk about everybody's talking about Jamie. Of course, I saw the film. It was a huge hit, kept a lot of people happy through COVID. But I was also there opening night at the Amundsen, and the show still has 3 more weeks, Los Angeles. How did you first get involved with the show?
Well, the director, Mr. Johnny B, reached out to me. Michelle Visage actually had done stunt casting in the show. They had hired her to play Miss Hedge in the West End. And then after they had success with her, I got a call and they said, "Would you like to come in and do a part?" And I assumed, in my mind, it was the same role Michelle played. Which, if you've seen the show, can you imagine me as the teacher? Never. But I assumed, that's the spot that they were going to stick everybody in. I didn't know. And I thought, no, not for me. And they said, "Well, we'd like to talk to you. We wanted to do a Skype." They wanted to do a Skype or a Zoom call with me at the time. And, this is pre-COVID, so it was like Skype wasn't necessary. I'm like, I don't need you to see me to say no. But they were like, "No, we really want to talk to you." So it was Lawrence and Johnny B who were on the call, and they said, "We'd like to offer you this part." And I was concerned because I thought, okay, wait, what is the part? And they said, "The elderly drag queen who's generous." And I thought,
what?
Okay, this will be challenging. But in that moment, I got to thinking, I'm like, what key is it in? Do I have to have an accent? What, blah, 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 blah. Let's figure all this stuff out. And all of it was adaptable. All of it was on the table. And Johnny B basically said, "I won't take no for an answer." And I thought, well, how do you say no to the West End? At the time, I was just scheduled to do 8 weeks because that's the only time period I had. So I went, had an amazing time, and then came back to the show for another 3-month stint, and then went on tour with it, and now here in Los Angeles. So it's kind of wild. Once again, it's just people that have faith in you and say, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And I luckily said yes.
Very luckily. The audience oohs and ahs and claps the minute you walk on stage, and I was there. It's like, oh, you dropped a napkin and everybody like gave you a standing ovation. But I mean, it was so delightful to see the audience so excited on your entrance. But then we very quickly realized that this isn't a Bianca vehicle. To your point, you are playing a pretty complex role. Hugo, Loco, Chanel. Was it scary and kind of naked to step on to stage for the first time in this kind of role where you don't have Bianca to hide behind or lean on?
What's funny is that it's actually it wasn't a nervous or scared scenario. It was kind of like freeing in many ways. Because it's not my words, as you know, it's written by Tom McRae. Yeah. The music is from Dan, and Johnny B is, the director. So basically, I was excited to have people tell me what to do, tell me where to go, and kind of live in the moment. And before I go any further, I must say that one of the key factors of the show, and one of the things why it's been so rewarding for me, is to get to work on stage with the brilliant Leighton Williams, who is unbelievable in the show to begin with. And he's great as Jamie, and basically we are tennis players. We're just shooting back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So he's an amazing, gifted, generous performer, which I've done theater for many years, and you don't always get that, especially in a leading man that's so young. So he makes the job so much easier, I must say. So in that game of it all, it's just rewarding to get to do something that's not my work. You know what I mean? The pressure is off of me because it's not my words, not my songs. You know what I mean? I'm just here to deliver the message.
What have you learned about yourself the most personally from doing the show?
That I can get in drag in 19 minutes and I look exactly the same when I spend 2 hours. That's what I've learned. I've learned I've been wasting time.
I was pretty impressed with that quick drag, by the way.
It's literally, it's 19 minutes to get in full drag. So it's about 10 minutes on my face and then putting on a corset, putting on shoes. I'm already wearing my tights underneath my boy outfit from the first scene. But it is kind of a whirlwind. And when you look at yourself, it's a true life drag race mini challenge. That you basically look at yourself and go, I look exactly the same. Why have I been spending all of this time getting ready? It's like, just slap it on and go.
Now, what are you doing backstage a half hour before the show? What's your actor ritual?
Oh, Usually, oh God, I wish I would say that I'm sitting there going over my notes and drinking tea. No, I go around to everyone's dressing room and terrorizes them because I don't show up in the show until a half hour into the show.
Yeah.
And if I get ready too early, then it's problematic. And because the first scene, I am a man, I will have a tendency to put on a little too much makeup, and then I start making my hair a little bigger as a man because I wear a man wig as well. So it's that moment where I start to look like Lady, Katie Lang. And,
She wishes.
a glamorous lesbian, so I have to be careful because I have to be a man. So I don't start getting dressed or doing my face or gluing my wig on until the show starts. That way it fills my half hour. So my half hour before is going around terrorizing. And also I'm like on set chiropractor. I basically do crack everybody's backs before the show. I go through the year 11 and then I work my way up to Leighton. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Now, there's a lot of sexiness, I have to say, from Leighton and all the boys. Are there any shenanigans going on? Is there any flirting going on?
Oh, God, no. Everybody's here young enough to be my child. Not at all. It's funny, actually. A lot of them are in their late 20s or 30s, and I constantly refer to them as the kids. So it is interesting. But no, there really isn't any of that. I mean, they are a pranking group. We do have fun on stage, and especially me and the drag queens in particular, because the goal is to try to get each other to laugh during that one scene we have in Legs 11. So they do try their hardest. But I think that comes with the fact that we've done the show together for quite some time in different increments. I've worked with different people at different times in this production. So we all kind of know where we all come from. So it is a test. And now that we know it, it is pretty wild when we get on stage. Lately, David, who plays Like a Virgin, has been eating chips. I was about to say crisps because I'm so British.
Of course.
But he's been eating potato chips on stage. And so now it's like how much potato chips he can get into his mouth. And so I purposely now wait to deliver lines so he has to choke on his chips without having any water. So yeah, it's those type of things that happen. Yeah, we got to keep it fresh.
I do love that. Obviously, you're a highlighted character and actor, but you have your moments where you shine and we get to, shower you with applause, but there's also those moments that you blend in seamlessly into the scene as well. It's really an ensemble effort.
Without a doubt. You're only
I
as good
love
as the
that.
company you keep,
Yeah.
and the fact that we are doing the show with an all British cast who have been hand chosen to come and do the show here, which is pretty great. As I said, so many people have done it, different variations of the show, whether it be the tour, or whether it be the West End production, or the different contracts that were happening. It's just great to share the stage with all of them. And you're really only as good as the company you keep. And as I said, it starts with Leighton Williams, it goes down to Mel, it goes down to Heba, who plays Pretty, Mel, who plays the mom, obviously. But everybody there puts in their work. And I think it's also a huge credit to Tom, Johnny B, and Dan Gillespie, who wrote and created this show, is that it's done brilliantly and it highlights everybody at certain points. And you kind of go on this roller coaster of Jamie's life that for a minute there, you don't think anything's going to go wrong, and things do go wrong, and then it kind of picks back up at the end. So it is a little journey that you travel with him, and you understand where he comes from and why he believes what he believes and why he has such passion. But I think the overall message is, if you have a dream, find the right people around you to support you and encourage you, and you can achieve it. And that's where we are.
That's exactly right. Now, the powerhouse performances of the women of the show are just remarkable.
Yes.
Some of the most emotional moments I've ever had as an audience member, definitely from the women. Now, what have you learned from your fellow actors throughout this process?
It's weird because, in those moments, I sit back and marvel at everybody else's process, as we say, the things that people do before the show. Some people are very quiet. Some people are doing breathing techniques. Some people are actually, looking at their lines. I am not that person. So I'm fascinated by everybody's approach to it. And I think what I've learned is the key to, I guess, acting in general is just listening. It's not so much memorizing your lines, because by muscle memory, you'll remember all of your lines. I mean, that's just how it goes. But I think it's listening to the other person on the stage and being in the moment is that kind of a thing, which I do when I do my own stand-up act, because obviously it's just me with a microphone on stage. But with this, I always worried in my mind going, I hope I get all the lines right, because I do have quite a few lines and two very wordy songs that I'm like, I hope I deliver all of the words. And instead of just being in the moment and owning what's happening in front of me.
Okay, spill some tea about going to the West End, living in London, doing the show there. That must have been a little culture shock. What was the hardest to get used to?
Getting adjusted to the food, getting adjusted to the slang too. Chips,
Yeah.
there are fries to us. And also everyone says, "You okay?" Which makes me feel like, did I say something was wrong with you? You know, instead of how are you? They say,
Yeah.
"You okay?" And I'm thinking, I always thought, well, why do they ask me if I'm okay? Is it that that I said that I was sick, or that I'm feeling ill, or or do I look like I'm sick or ill? I mean, obviously with this face, it's highly possible. But in that moment, I always thought, oh yeah, so she's trying to understand what that's about. And also saying things like, I'm going back to my flat, not my apartment, because no one knew what I was talking about. So the lingo was adjustment, and also getting adjusted to the weather, you know, because we were there in the winter, which meant 3 p.m. it's dark.
Yeah.
So in my mind, it was kind of adjusting to that, because I'd kind of gotten used to Palm Springs for a hot minute, that it was a huge transition. But in the end, it was the thing, as I said before, we were just all so happy to be working and being out there, and the fact that there was an audience that wanted to see live theater. We go, okay, pick your battles, pick your battles.
Now, how are London audiences different than American audiences? Do you see a huge difference? Is the energy different?
I would love to say, particularly, yes, they're different, but I find it fascinating what they laugh at here as opposed to what they laugh at there. You know, because the show is very British to begin with, and so it was kind of written for that audience. So they get things that the Americans don't get. But yet Americans are also just loud and, I don't want to say obnoxious, boisterous, I should say, at moments that I didn't expect them to be. So it's just interesting to what they laugh at, you know?
What's it like to look back and catalog everything that you've accomplished from your time? And when you literally look at it written down, it's like, holy shit, you've done a lot of stuff.
I didn't realize we could curse. I said crap earlier. So, yeah.
Honey, you can say whatever you want. You're Bianca Del Rio.
I meant to say shit. So, yeah, we'll fix that later. Just shit. You can glue that back on. No, well, the trick is, I think, never look back. That's the trick. If you look back, you start to feel like, oh. You don't look back, you don't regret, you just keep going forward, which I think is the game of it. You know, I didn't plan this path, I didn't plan this journey. I try to keep afloat, and as long as I'm working and enjoying myself, I guess that's the ticket to it all. But to sit back and think that it's been 26 years is kind of surreal. But yeah, you can't dwell on that. You can't worry about the good stuff or the bad stuff. You just got to keep moving ahead.
Now, if there was a musical based on Bianca Del Rio's life, what would it be called?
Erotic Clown, the musical.
I'll tell Tom McRae to start writing that.
Yeah. And you'll have 3 little Biancas traveling through my life, telling my story. Yeah, we can do it.
I love that. Is there more scripted theater in store for you?
I'm up for it. I'm up for it for sure. But currently, I'm doing this show here at the Arlington Theater until the 20th, and then I'm headed out on the road with my comedy show, which is called Unsanitized. So I'll be hitting that, and I'm doing that till September. So I'll be doing globally now. So I'm doing Canada, Latin America, South America, Europe, UK. I'll be in Amsterdam. I'll be in Tel Aviv. I'll be in Australia. So that's going to take me till then. As of right now, after that, I have no set agenda at the moment, but I'm always open for options. If anybody who's creating the film of Wicked and needs me as Miss Morrible, sign me up. But yeah, it's that kind of a thing where we'll see what happens and what comes. I'm not opposed to it, honestly. I'm open to anything.
You're going to go from Latin men to Australian men. You're not going to be able to walk when you come home.
You don't know me that well, do you? I'm sitting in my hotel room counting my money. I don't bother with those people.
I love that. I want to know how your relationship with your family and close friends has changed now that you're always in the spotlight and you're always busy.
They're just happy. They're just happy I'm leaving them alone. It's great. No, I mean, look, the great thing about being friends or having friends and having family is that they get it. You know, they know that this is kind of what I love doing, so they just sit back and marvel, and we catch up when we catch up. And I've had my friends from New York that came to see the show here in Los Angeles because they couldn't get to London when I was doing it the first time. So it's great to catch up with everybody, and they keep tabs on me, but they also know better than to encourage me. They just sit back and go, are you enjoying it? You're having a good time? Yes. I don't keep yes people around me. They often tell me, you're old, you're tired, you need to do something else. So that's what keeps me in check.
Now, I know from rumors and behind the scenes chat, you really do take your time and offer advice and give mentorship to those around you, up and comers or people that are established from the drag community and beyond. In our community, we know things can get pretty catty, jealousies, backstabbing, but that's not really in your real wheelhouse.
Well, yeah, it varies. I mean, like I say, you got to get me when I care. If I care, you're good. The minute I don't care, you're fucked. So, yeah, so currently, things are good. But, I think that's been the game is that, I've been around long enough and I'm just grateful that anybody even gives a shit or asks my opinion. Usually it's business related. And I try to, tell them the truth about what it is and what's worked for me. And I try not to discourage. I really try not to because, somebody might like it. It may not be my cup of tea. But I hope that people use that same discretion when they're dealing with me. It's like, look, if I'm not for you, I'm not for you. But you still go and do what you got to do. No review or individual or Facebook comment is going to make me not do what I enjoy doing. And I try to tell people that, or performers that, just in general.
I love chatting with you so much. You're an inspiration.
Well, you have impeccable taste. That's why.
Well, I have to say, opening night, I was very drunk because that bar was right next to my seat.
Oh, that's good. That's probably why you enjoyed the show. That's brilliant. I encourage that. I'm glad you got some liquor out of it.
Well, I don't know. It's in $20 for a plastic cup. I love you so much. I'm going to come back and see the show.
Please do.
Yeah, I definitely will. Tell
We're
everybody.
here till the 20th.
Yes, very excited. Tell everybody where you want them to find you and follow you.
Well, you can find me at thebiancadelrio.com, thebiancadellrio on Instagram, on Twitter, and you can also find all my upcoming dates at thebiancadelrio.com. I don't even know my own name. thebiancadelrio.com has all of my touring information. You can see currently I'm here at the Amundsen Theater in Los Angeles doing Everybody's Talking About Jamie until February 20th.
Thank you so much. Go rest up, cause your shenanigans, and we'll see you on stage.
See you soon.
Thank you. Well, that's all, folks. It's always a grab bag of fun here on The Rocks. A big thank you to our fabulous guest, my engineer, Tony Sweet, our social media clip editor, Alexis Mendez. Please like and share, subscribe so we can continue bringing this fabulous programming coming your way. Coming up on our next episode, we have Club Kids with Kimora Black, Rhea Latre, and They Call Her Six. Get ready for that. Until next time, stay happy, stay healthy, stay sexy, and more importantly, stay tipsy. This has been another episode of On the Rocks. Tweet me and slide into my DMs on Twitter and Instagram at On the Rocks On Air. Find everything On the Rocks for free at OnTheRocksRadioshow.com. Subscribe, like, review, and share. Until next week,